almost 1 hour to get myself a seat in a $600 tournament, we find ourselves in what I believe is one of the better structures for the smaller buy-ins of all of the summer. I ended up getting put on a fresh table over at the Horseshoe, where every single player at this table has a starting stack of 30,000. A little weird, but you know, I'm not going to complain. Here we are battling away. It's level 8 when we join. We start with about 30 big blinds. I've got it up to about 40k myself. The hijack makes it 2,500. The cutoff calls, and I am in the button with king queen offsuit. Feels like a good hand at 3-bet. I go and do just that. I make it 8,000 to go. Both players make the call. We're going off to a flop that's pretty good, as it comes queen 5-3 with 2 diamonds and a club. Pretty reasonable flop for us here. We have a backdoor flush draw as a little bit of insurance here, but we flop top pair, good kicker. When the action checks over to the cutoff and he decides to throw out a little bit of a questionable lead for about 16,000, I'm sitting here with about 30k in my stack in front of me. I don't think calling here makes much sense. I think jamming here, although a little scary, is something that I'm gonna have to muster up the courage and do. I can still get called by all the flush draws and all the inferior top pairs. If my opponent has a hand like 5s or 3s, I mean, you deserve my money, honestly. There's nothing more to be said. I go all in for about 30,000. The initial raiser tanks for quite some time before eventually letting it go. And then the cutoff snap calls, and he shows the car keys, 8-5 of diamonds. We've got to dodge quite a few outs here. Any 8, any 5, any diamond will give this man all of my chips. The turn card comes the 7 of spades. Whew, it was close, but no cigar for him. And the river comes a 9 of clubs. Oh, early on here, we get the full double up to 83k. Still sitting here at the same table where middle position decides to limp. I'm next to act, and I look down at pocket 10s. We're going to go ahead and make this a little bit of a bigger raise here to isolate that limper. I make it 3,500. The action folds back to him, and he decides that this is a good spot to throw in the old back raise. He's sitting on about 10 big blinds. He goes in all in for 15,000 chips here. 1.2k is the big blind, the easiest call of my life, which I go ahead and do. Our opponent shows over the 8 ace of clubs. Not a bad hand there, considering how short he is. We're going to go off to a flop here that comes king queen at 9. Happy this money got in pre-flop, because I would not have continued on this board. The churn card comes in 8, adding a few more outs to my opponent. And the river card comes the beautiful deuce of diamonds. Let's go. I don't want to jinx myself here, but man, the start of this tournament has been damn near perfect. Let's throw in some more fun activity here where the unthinkable happens in this next hand. A brand new player to our table opens to 2,500. The action is on to me. I'm directly to his left. I'm under the gun +1. And I look down the ace 5 of diamonds. Well, all the smart kids seem to love this hand and turning it into a bluff. I go ahead and do what these smart kids are doing. I make it $8,000 to go by virtue of a 3-bet. The action gets back to the initial raiser, who after a bit of thinking throws in a 4-bet to 16,000. Just making it 2x my raise. I get a little bit flustered here, as how can you come here to the new table on your very first hand and pick up a monster? Well, that gets to my head, and obviously the unthinkable occurs next. I throw in a pretty small 5-bet to 27,000, showing my opponent that I have aces. Of course I do, until he 6-bet all in 70,000 chips. Can't be calling that. I'm only ever going to be up against aces and kings here. Never against ace king either, I don't think. So I'm going to tip my cap off here. Honestly, although I lost the pot, I am so happy I got to do something as crazy as this. Definitely licking my wounds from the last hand. Getting 6-bet in my face is not fun, especially not fun when I'm bluffing. But here we are in the same blind level, and it's actually the very next hand. I cannot even get my wits about me. When I look down at an ace 3 of clubs here from under the gun, I raise it up here, sitting off about a 45,000 chip effective stack. To my left, and he decides to 3-bet to 7,500. Action folds back to me. He is deep enough to make this a reasonable call. There's a flop, comes out ace 10-3 with 2 diamonds and a spade. Flopping top and bottom, we're going to be up against a bunch of ace king, ace queen, ace jack suited. So when I check it over to my opponent and he c-bets 8k, I'm almost confident that I can get max value here. I go all in for 35,000. My opponent damn near beats me into the pot, and he shows ace king of spades. Turn comes out with the 5 of clubs. Now any 10 or any 5 and any king give my opponent the winner, and the river card comes the 6 of diamonds. Pretty much won back what we lost the last hand and some little bit of cherries on top. Well, if there was ever a time to feel alive, that was the closest thing to it. 5-bet bluffing is awesome. That was really cool. Sucked that it didn't go through, but look at that. We get blessed on the very next hand. We crack ace-king with ace-3 there. So what a roller coaster of emotions. We are sitting on probably 70 big blinds. I don't know. It's like infinite. So let's get to the dinner break and recoup then. After a break to really collect my thoughts, I feel really locked in at this point. We're playing a level 11, which is going to be 2K, 2K, 1K. We have 8-7 of clubs in the following hand, where I'm under the gun and I raise to 4,000. Middle position, big stack makes a call. We're going off to a flop here that comes ace, king, 5 with 2 hearts and a diamond. Not a great board for my specific hand, but, you know, a pretty damn near decent board for my range. I go ahead and throw out a small c-bet of 3,000. My opponent makes a call, and the turn card is going to be one of the better ones in the deck, at least for my specific hand, as it comes out the 4 of clubs. Improves me to a gutter ball, which will allow me to continue to bluff here, obviously, with my specific hand. I throw out another bet here for 7,000. After a bit of thinking, my opponent once again makes a call. We're going off to a river card that is a really odd one. It comes as 7 of diamonds. For a quick second, I thought I made the nut straight, but obviously I didn't. I end up on this river with nothing less than third pair. When I check it over to my opponent, he does something a little interesting. He goes for a really hearty bet of 16,000. Honestly, I was pretty quick to just want to fold my hand, but I don't know. This feels super weird to me. Something's a little fishy. I think that my opponent can sometimes go for value with a single pair holding, but it would have to be a pretty strong one. I just can't put 2 and 2 together. I feel like this just has to be a bluff. I don't think I can find many 2-pair combinations that make sense. And I just throw it in with the third pair. And somehow, someway, my opponent flips over Jack 10 of hearts, flopping a gutter ball straight flush draw, and somehow breaks out. We make the hero call, and somehow we end up sniffing it out. In this following hand, we have been moved over to the Paris. This is exciting, as it means that there's quite a few bust outs already occurring, even more so when we're in level 12, 2,500 big blind. Not a lot of people left in this tournament until we get to the money. We're already halfway there. Under the gun makes it 5,000 to go. The action folds to me in the small blind, and like I said, I'm a sucker for it. Ace 5 suited. This is exciting. Earlier didn't work out for us, but let's give it a shot here. I make a 3-bet to 14,000. Quite a few chips here. I'm sitting on about 200 or 150,000, I should say, to start this hand, and my opponent doesn't waste much time before making the call. We're going off to a flop here that comes king 10 8 with 3 diamonds. Not a great board for my specific hand, but not all that bad for my range, I guess you could say. I'm going to throw out a small c-bet here, going really tiny, 7,000, to which my opponent makes the call. Turn card is a jack of clubs. This is probably a better card for me than my opponent's. I'd throw out, once again, a little bit of a bigger bet here on the turn for 17,000, and luckily for us, my opponent folds. Some miracle, we have made it to the dinner break. Things are panning out for us somehow. Jeremy, friend of the vlog, gentleman here, is getting all our info down. We got a couple hands on the poker news. Hopefully things continue to pan out. We're sitting on like 200K. I think we're gonna come back to the 3K big blind level. So we've got heaps. Our current table draw is not the best, but we're probably gonna break soon. Not that any of that matters. We're gonna continue to run well. We're gonna make it through to day 2. We're finally gonna get ourselves a bag, and we're gonna bag the chip lead. That's just, you know, put it out there. I'd promised him 125K at dinner when I texted him. When I first sat down, I crushed it. I had 200K. So it's only right that I bag the chip lead.
Gonna happen. Definitely.
There it is. You'll see it on Poker News. Yeah. So much time has gone by that I'm nearly losing the grasp of time. It's now level 14 here, so like an hour or so has passed. We are in another fun pot where under the gun raises to 8,000 and the action folds to me in the small blind. I now look down at king, queen of clubs. What a beautiful, beautiful hand to look down at. My opponent is sitting on about 100,000 chips or so. And this is where I make a huge mistake that'll definitely bite me in the ass. I don't realize that the raise is for 8,000, and I just, I can't comprehend it in my head, and I throw it a 3-bet of 17,000. Why is this dumb? Well, for many reasons. It's just far too small. If I was actually going to 3-bet, I think I'd be 3-betting to somewhere in the neighborhood of like 27 or 30K. Out of position seems obvious. He now has a 4-bet size that doesn't include all in. I 5-bet jam to 105,000, and my opponent snap calls with pocket kings. Looking to suck out in a pretty nasty way, but things are not looking good when the flop comes out Jack, Jack 3 with 2 spades. Turn card is the 8 of spades. River card is a 4 of clubs. We lose to pocket kings here, and a big chunk of our stack has been gone up in flames. After a few raise and takes get it through for us, we are now sitting on a formidable stack of 75,000 chips after that catastrophe in the last hand. The action starts with me with pocket 10s here at the level 14, 4K, 4K, 2K blind level. I go ahead and make the easy all-in for 75,000 chips. An older gentleman on the button snap calls all in for less, which leads me to believe that I'm absolutely drawing dead. The big blind is now in a very perplexed situation where he goes deep into the tank for over a minute. He ends up making the call. As we had realized here pretty quickly, the button has pocket jacks. We're like dead here. And the opponent in the big blind has ace king off. So if we can somehow win the side pot, we won't be absolutely left in dust or busted, but here we go. The runout comes 8, 5, 4, turns a 4, and the river's a 4. Oh, what a cooler. Boat versus boat, huh? Well, either way, we are left with crumbs, less than 10 big blinds. Our hope, our massive stack is dwindling quickly. As you guys can see, things in tournaments can really take a turn, and they can take a turn quickly. Sitting on fumes here, looking for an opportunity to find a double. And this seems like a good one when the button raises to 9,000 chips, and I'm in the small blind with a suited ace. This is definitely good enough to go in the middle with 34,000 chips. When the action gets back to him, he shows me that it's not just any two, it's ace queen, the parking lot hand, and the flop is king 10-7, all clubs. The turn card is a miracle. It's a 4 spades. We're going to need to hold here. The river card is an 8 of clubs, puts 4 to a flush out there, but luckily neither of us are holding a club. By some miracle, I now find myself with 80,000 chips. Let's go. I have now dwindled down to right around where I was from the last hand. The only thing now is that the blinds continue to go up. In this next hand, an opponent goes all in with about 50,000 chips, good for just around 10 big blinds or so, and I find myself with ace 9 of hearts. Well, if there's ever a time to commit to something, this seems like a good spot. I go ahead and call all in for less, and everyone else folds. At this point, my opponent says he's only looked at one card, which is a good sign for me, especially when he flips over ace 7. We have him absolutely dominated. When a flop comes out queen 8-3, things are looking pretty decent, and then the turn card comes a beautiful 9 of clubs, locking up this hand for me. River card is inconsequential, and once again we're up to 80,000 chips for a much needed double up.
That was just an all-around ridiculous levels. We were up peaking at like 200K. We ended up getting back down to 20K or something. Now we're sitting on, can't even remember, I think like 85K or so. We just don't have that much. Maybe like 13 big blinds. Need a double, but if we double, we'll be peaking for the tournament, so that's nice. I think we're less than 100 off the money. Be nice to get a cash. It's not what we're playing for, obviously. The min cash is pretty small. But yeah, let's lock in. Let's have a good last 2 levels, about another hour, 20 minutes left to play. Let's cash. Honestly, it could be over the next hand. And to be fair, we could have like 400K in an hour. We'll see what happens.
Following a break, on the very first hand of the break, we are in level 16 at the 6K, 6K, 3K level. By some miracle, the grace of the poker gods has bestowed upon me the privilege of pocket aces. Coming back from break, no one is going to expect it. I'm sitting on around 15 big blinds or so. Sure, I can just open all in here, but the problem is there's a good chance I don't get any action at all. So I'm going to do something that I don't usually advocate for, but I'm going to go ahead and raise here. I'm going to do this with strong hands. I'm going to do this with weak hands. It's really nice having pocket aces in this spot, so I raise it up, baby. I make it 13,000 to go. Our opponent from the big blind, who's sitting on so many chips, it's honestly hard to count, makes a call, and the flop comes out 8-3-3. About the best flop I'm ever going to see here. When my opponent checks over to me, I throw a small down bet to 10,000. and my opponent calls. We're going off to a turn card that comes at queen of spades, bringing the backdoor flush, as well as an over card to the initial flop. Once again, I'm not worried about anything. I beat all 2 pairs, obviously. I double barrel for 25,000. I'm leaving myself somewhere in the neighborhood of about 43,000 left behind, giving myself a clear-cut all-in on the river. My opponent obliges with the call, and the river card comes another great card as it comes a king of clubs. Obviously, we would have probably got it on all-in here against pocket queens, pocket kings, or pocket eights, as all of those hands would have probably made some moves pre-flop against me. And beyond that, a hand that could have easily floated me is a hand like king, queen suited with the backdoor flush draw and 2 overs, and that hand is another value hand that we beat. Music to my ears when my opponent goes all in with the lead jam for 43,000, which is my effective stack. I am super happy to get my money in the middle, and I lose in a very interesting way as my opponent flips over the old 8-3 octo crab. Yeah. That was whack. What the
I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy.
Couple things. I'm usually not the pat on the back kind of guy, like to myself. I definitely don't like uploading content of when I don't even cash. But today's a little different. 2 reasons. I feel like I really went for it today, and it was a very fun day. Obviously unfortunate when you don't win, but I really went for it. The ace-5 hand and the king-queen hand, obviously we ran into it. I'm happy we're just trying things out, and obviously maybe not the tournament to do it in, but I really went for it today, and things just could not pan out for us when it needed to at most. Picking up aces there, I'm sure there's an argument to just jam or whatever, but when you're this late in the game, doubling up is really, really big, and people are just not putting in the money without big hands. When you got 2 aces, it's hard for other people to have anything. So, I don't know. Obviously, as we've mentioned many a time, a blatant tournament novice, and I think today, with how everything panned out, I didn't cash. I think I was, I don't know. That was literally the very first hand after the break when we just talked, which is super funny. So I think we were like 50 people off the cash. I'm frustrated. I can't pretend like I'm not. But as we mentioned, I am going to go to bed just fine tonight knowing that I feel like I really played my heart out today. And to be quite honest, I feel like I can't say that about myself for a couple of the last few sessions, tournaments, cash, all of that. Just feel like my heart's just not been in it sometimes, or feel like I go through the motions. And today I felt really engaged, and it was a good time, man. Meeting a lot of you guys was probably the best part of the day. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out, and I'm sorry to post a non-cash vlog, but hey, I'm happy with the way things turned out. So have a nice day. Oh, stay happy, stay healthy, more money. We're good at the tables, y'all. I love you so much. Deuces.
I can do this with my eyes closed.